Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Saya Prof.Dr. Dedi Purwana M.Bus, dosen dari Program Studi Pendidikan Administrasi Perkantoran, Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Negeri Jakarta. Saya merupakan dosen pembimbing 1 dari mahasiswa bernama Andini Kusumaningsih yang judul tesis skripsinya itu adalah tentang pengaruh locus of control dan praktik kerja industri terhadap kesiapan kerja pada siswa kelas 12 SMKN 50 Jakarta. Berikut adalah pemaparan penelitian tersebut. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let's praise and gratitude to God Almighty for His grace. I can make a video on thesis research. Before I start this presentation, I will thanks to Mr. Roni as the coordinator of Office Administration Education Study Program, my supervising lecturer, Prof.Dr. Dedi Purwana M.Bus, and Mr. Suherdi SPD SHMM, who has provided direction and guide me all this time. Let me introduce myself. My name is Andini Kusumaningsih from Office Administration Education 2019, Faculty of Economics, State University of Jakarta. Today, I will present my thesis research report with the title, The Influence of Locus of Control and Industry Work Practice on Work Readiness in Class 12 student of 50 Vocational High School, Jakarta. The first is background of problem. The Indonesian economy is developing impressively. Indonesia is currently able to grow their economy so that it can grow impressively by 5.2% on annual basis. This is something to be proud of. However, the current problem is that economic growth is getting better, but that makes it more challenges to be able to compete. The increasingly competitive job market competition brings its own challenge. Increasingly higher abilities are needed and become a benchmark for someone to enter the world of work and assess one's work abilities. Apart from that, there are fewer jobs, making this imbalance with the abundant human resource in Indonesia. This is what then makes more jobless. According to BPS data, the open response rate in August 2022 was 5.86%. Judging from the level of education, the level of action for graduates of vocational school in 2022 is the highest compared to the other levels of education. BPS data shows that vocational school training is as much as 9.42%, more than SMA, 8.57%. The high response rate at vocational school compared to the other is due to the law of job readiness. Researchers suspect that the high proportion of deserving vocational graduates is due to the low job readiness of vocational graduates in entering the world of work. The low readiness to work is certainly influenced by several factors. According to the Post.com journal, the lack of education regarding soft skills is one of the causes. Where soft skills are important in industrial work. In addition, not many companies work with vocational school graduates to work directly. This makes them as graduates to be more difficult to get accepted to work. Then it's difficult to compete with other workers whose level of ability is of course higher. This is what then creates a feeling of self-doubt in graduates with a higher level of education. According to preliminary observation made by researchers, as you can see in their first picture, many of them were still not ready to work and choose to continue their studies in higher institutions. Graduates feel that their knowledge is not enough, so they prefer to gain knowledge and experience through higher levels. This is of course not a problem if the graduates are serious and can really do it, but it will be a problem if they cannot get into the state university that they want and they are not ready for work either. This is not in accordance with the purpose of vocational education, which is prepared to develop a workforce of graduates who are ready to work, not only for work, but also to create jobs as well, so that it can open business field for many people. In addition, preliminary observations were also carried out on several students. According to them, of the several factors that influence work readiness, industry work practice and locus of control have the most influential and important roles to have. This can be seen in the result in the table. Locus of control and industry work practice have the higher percentage compared to the other supporting factors. The next is research purpose. For the research purpose, the first is knowing the influence of locus of control on the work readiness and Class 12 student of SMKN 50 Jakarta. The second is knowing the influence of industry work practice on the work readiness and Class 12 student of SMKN 50 Jakarta. And the third is knowing the influence of locus of control and industry work practice on the work readiness and Class 12 student of SMKN 50 Jakarta. The next is definition of work readiness, locus of control, and industrial work practice. The first is definition of work readiness. According to Connie, work readiness is a condition that presents harmony of physical and mental maturity, learning experience so that individual has good skill, aspect of knowledge, and mental maturity. The result of studies conducted by Brady, Caballero and Walker, and then Prianto, work readiness have 6 indicators, namely responsibility, flexibility, skills, communication, self-view, and health and safety. Then, the definition of locus of control. According to Rotter, locus of control is an individual's belief in his ability to control the occurrence of a result that occur in his life, believing that every event is caused by his own behavior or believing because of things outside of himself, such as coincidence, luck, or destiny. Indicators on the internal locus of control are skills, abilities, and effort, while indicators on the external locus of control include fate, luck, and opportunity. Furthermore, the definition of industry work practice. According to Cooper, industry work practice or internship is a work-based learning approach that provides opportunities for students to work in industry for a certain period of time. The indicators used for industry work practice are knowledge, skill, attitudes, and work result. Previous research. The first is the research entitled Locus of Control to Improve Student Work Readiness by Holik, Suryanto, Rijanto, Arsana, and Diana in 2022 has the result that there is positive and significant relationship between self-control and work readiness. The second is the research entitled The Influence of Industrial Work Practice and Workshop Infrastructure Facilities on Work Readiness of Students by Setiadi, Triyono, and Daryono in 2020 has the result that there is positive and significant influence between industrial and infrastructure work practice on work readiness. The third is the research entitled The Influence of Locus of Control and Industrial Work Practice Experience on Job Readiness of PGRI Vocational High School Student in Mojokerto City by Diana Nur Aziza and Supari Muslim and in 2019 has the result that there is positive and significant influence of locus of control and industry work practice on work readiness. Research hypothesis. The following is a picture of the research constellation chart. It can be seen that first is H1. Locus of control has a positive effect on work readiness and Class 12 student of SMKN 50 Jakarta. Second is H2. Industrial work practice has a positive effect on work readiness and Class 12 student of SMKN 50 Jakarta. The third is H3. Locus of control and industry work practice have a positive effect on the work readiness and Class 12 student of SMKN 50 Jakarta. The research was carried out from January to July 2023. This research using a population of all 12 grade students of SMKN 50 with a total of 211 students consisting of 4 majors. Then the sample use of 138 samples. For the research method is a quantitative method with the type of data collection in the form of a survey using a questionnaire. Furthermore, the technique of determining the sample using probability sampling with a proportional stratified random sampling technique. And then for the data analysis technique include descriptive analysis, instrument test requirement analysis, classic assumption test, multiple linear regression analysis, and then hypothesis test. From the picture, it can be seen that the respondent in the study consisted of 138 students. The respondent profile picture shown is the gender and major of each respondent. The sample shows that females dominate gender by 74%. Then, the second diagram shows the percentage of the number of assessing expertise program consisting of 4 majors, namely 24 people from the OTKP major, 46 students each from BDP and AKL majors, and 22 from the MM major. Based on the result of the analysis on the average score of the work readiness variable indicator, it's known that the level of student work readiness is most influenced by the communication indicator. It can be seen that the most of the students must improve their ability to communicate because it's important in building their work readiness. Communication is important to find the necessary information and build relationship with many people. Then, based on the result of the analysis on the average score of locus of control variable indicator, it's known that the level of locus of control is most influenced by effort indicator. Next, based on the result of the analysis on the average score of the industry work practice variable indicator, it's known that the industry work practice level is most influenced by the knowledge indicator. The instrument test consisted of a validity test and reliability test which was tested using the SPSS version 24 program. Testing the validity in the study has criteria, namely if the error count value is greater than error table, so an instrument is said to be valid. The error table gain for 30 test respondents is equal to 0.361. Based on the calculation result on the validity test of each variable can be seen on the screen, then there is total 2 questions has to drop. The reliability test and the study has criteria, namely if the Cronbach alpha value is greater than 0.06, so an instrument is said to be reliable. In the study, all variables meet the reliability criteria. The analysis requirement test consists of a normality test and a linearity test. The normality test in the study used the Kolmogorov-Smirnov. The normality test criterion is if the significance value is greater than 0.05, so the residual value is normally distributed. In the study, a data normally distributed. Then test the linearity in the study using the test of linearity. The criteria for the linearity test are if the linearity significance value is less than 0.05 and the deviation from linearity value is more than 0.05, so the data has a linear relationship. In the study, the independent variable has a linear influence on the dependent variable. The classic assumption test consists of the multicollinearity test and a heteroscedasticity test. The multicollinearity test in this study used collinearity diagnostics. Multicollinearity test criteria, namely if the tolerance value is greater than 0.10 and the VIF value is less than 10, so there is no multicollinearity problem. In the study, there were no symptoms of multicollinearity. Then, the heteroscedasticity test in this study used Spearman rule and scatter plot graphical analysis. The criteria for the heteroscedasticity test are if the significance value is greater than 0.05, so there is no heteroscedasticity problem. In this study, there were no symptoms of heteroscedasticity. Based on the result of the multiple linear regression equation, it's known that the constant value is 25.912. This shows that if 12th grade students at SMKN 50 Jakarta do not have good locus of control, especially internal locus of control, and industry work practice tend to have a low level of work readiness. The value of the regression coefficient on each independent variable also has a positive value, and the error value obtained is quite low, so the regression model is sufficient in representing the actual data. Then, based on the test result of the coefficient of determination, it's obtained that the percentage of the contribution to the influence of independent variable on the dependent variable is 41.0%, which is included in the category of having a strong influence. The F-test is a simultaneous coefficient test. The F-test criteria is if the F-count value is greater than F-table and the significance value is less than 0.05. In the study, the two independent variables simultaneously have a significant influence on the dependent variable. And the t-test is a test of the coefficient individually. The criteria for the t-test are if the t-count value is greater than t-table and the significance value is less than 0.05. In this study, the two independent variables partially have a significant influence on the dependent variable. Based on the result and discussion, it can be concluded that there is positive and significant direct influence both partially and simultaneously from the locus of control and industry work practice variable on the work readiness of 12th grade students at SMKN 50 Jakarta. The result of this study also strengthened previous studies with similar results. That's all for the video presentation regarding the thesis research that I have compiled. I will gladly accept criticism and suggestion. Thank you and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.